After my wife's trust fund unlocked at 30, she said, "Thanks for the placeholder years, but I'm done." I replied, "Funny, I just unlocked a prenup." She actually laughed when I said it. "What prenup? We never signed one." That's when I pulled out my phone and showed her the document. Her face went completely white. See, 2 years ago, her grandfather called me privately. But let me back up to how this all started. I met Rachel in college when she was this sweet, quiet girl who seemed genuinely passionate about environmental science and making a difference. We'd spend hours talking about sustainability projects. She'd get emotional watching documentaries about climate change. I fell hard. But the moment we moved in together after graduation, something shifted. She started making comments about my job at a renewable energy nonprofit. "Once my trust fund kicks in, you won't have to pretend to care about saving the planet anymore," she'd say, with this strange smile. At first, I thought she was joking, but the comments got more frequent, more cutting. She'd introduce me to her friends as my environmental phase and laugh like it was hilarious. When I got promoted to project manager, she rolled her eyes and said, "Playing activist is adorable, but let's be realistic about your salary ceiling." The worst part was how calculated it became. She started a countdown app on her phone. 632 days until freedom, she'd announce at dinner parties. People would laugh uncomfortably, but she'd just shrug. "What? We all know this is temporary." I started documenting everything. The way she'd talk about our future like I wasn't in it. The Pinterest boards she'd make with solo apartment designs and single girl vacation plans. The conversations she'd have with friends where she'd forget I was listening. "I mean, he's nice, but come on," I overheard her telling her roommate from college. "You don't marry the practice boyfriend. He's like training wheels before the real relationship." That's when her grandfather called me. "That girl's been counting down to her trust fund since she turned 18, he said. "But I've been watching you. You're decent to her, even when she's not decent to you." Grandpa Jim had been widowed for 15 years and lived in this massive ranch house outside town. He'd invite us over for barbecues every month, and I genuinely enjoyed talking with him. He was sharp, funny, and had turned his small construction company into a regional empire. "I see how passionate you get talking about your work," he continued, "and I see how my granddaughter kills that passion a little more each day." What Rachel didn't know was that Grandpa had been secretly funding our lifestyle the whole time. The condo we lived in, he owned it through a property management company. The freelance consulting income that mysteriously covered our bills, that was Grandpa, paying me through a business he'd created. "She thinks she's waiting for her inheritance," Grandpa explained. "But I've been testing both of you this whole time. You've never asked me for anything. You work 60-hour weeks at that nonprofit, come home exhausted, and still bring her dinner when she's had a bad day." Meanwhile, she'd been calling him monthly, asking about the trust fund timeline, suggesting improvements to his estate planning, even recommending financial advisors who could maximize the family assets. She'd never mentioned any of this to me. The prenup wasn't traditional. It was disguised as a lease agreement for the condo. Rachel had signed it without reading, assuming it was standard rental paperwork. But buried in the legal language was a clause. If she initiated divorce proceedings within 3 years, she'd forfeit any claim to assets acquired during the marriage, including trust fund payments that had been flowing into our joint account for 8 months. "You can't be serious," she whispered, scrolling through the document on my phone. "Dead serious. Your grandfather was smarter than both of us." She tried calling Grandpa, but he'd already updated his will. The trust fund redirected to environmental charities. The condo officially transferred to my name. "He said loyalty isn't just about DNA," I told her as she stared at the phone in shock. "Sometimes the people who love you most see what's coming long before you do."